Okay. So today we are talking about Arts and Culture Grant, just a high level overview of some of the types of grants you will run across when looking for arts and culture grants. Talk a little bit about art. From talking to the group, it seems like most of you have some sort of background in art being an extremely varied word. Why do we make art? To express feelings and emotions, to tell stories, to share our culture, to create beauty, bring joy, and to communicate ideas that provoke thought. Of course, there are hundreds of more reasons, but these are some of the reasons why we make art and why it's important and why we want to make sure to help support it. So we're going to explore just a sample of some arts and culture grants. Okay, so this is one of my favorite types of grants. This one happens to be called Small Arts Grant, but this is the type of grant that is small dollar grants. They're usually not quite as complicated to apply for as certainly, say, a federal or a state grant. They are also sometimes a little more broad in what you can use the money for. And they may not require quite as much reporting afterwards. Those are generalizations, but these small grants are great funding to get you off the ground, to get you to the finish line. So this Maxim Victoria Dreyfus Foundation, their goal is to support organizations and programs for which a relatively small amount of funding might make a large difference. They like to hear your story. They like for you to communicate with them. And in the case of mini grants, a good story is the way to get the attention of any of the grantors. So this supports, as you can see, museums, culture, excuse me just a second, performing arts programs, schools, hospitals, educational skills training, and other programs for youth, seniors, persons with disabilities, environmental wildlife protection activities, and other community-based organizations and programs. So pretty much the only thing that limits this grant is you have to be a 501c3. Sometimes you can have a 501c3 as an agent if you're not one. If you have a project that maybe you're running through your business, but it's going to benefit any of these categories, then you may be able to work with a 501c3 that has the same goals as you do and the same as the grant, to be able to have them assign the grant and then they give the funds to the project. So even though it says 501c3, you may have a way around that, but this is a very general grant and there really is no reason to not apply for it as far as I can tell. And if you see here, that's the link to it. So once the deck is available, you'll have the link to that. You can also look up Maxim Victoria Dreyfus Foundation. Okay, so this is another one from a private foundation. We certainly have the National Endowment for the Arts that gives grants. Sometimes those are not attainable for everybody, but these foundations are very good to fill in the gaps. So this has funds available for organizations with summer festivals and conferences devoted primarily to performance of American contemporary music with a history of substantial commitment to works by younger and relatively known living composers. So when you click on the link and you go to this grant, they will have much more specific information because that is kind of vague, but it will give you a better idea of who this is meant for. But I think that fits a few people we've been working with. So the Our Town grant, this is from the National Endowment for the Arts. It is placemaking grants. They have project-based funding and they support activities that integrate arts, culture, design into local efforts that strengthen communities over the long term. This is a federal grant, so it will probably have a little more upfront work as far as making sure you have financials, budgets. A lot of times they like for groups to have maybe 3 years of reporting behind them, so they know that it's a sustainable organization. They have a cost share. So if you ask for a $25,000 grant, then you have to show the other $25,000. With federal grants, usually you can take that $25,000 cost share from donations, from operating fund, from other grants, but not normally other federal or state grants. You would have to have foundations or some other way to show that you're good for the match. And because it's federal, they tell you how much paperwork time it's going to take. And this one's about 26 hours. So it is a big commitment. But if you're asking for $150,000, then it's pretty fair if they want all your information. So this one is just one of my favorites. It's not specifically arts and culture, but it's one of those that I really think everyone should be applying for. It's the Awesome Grants from the Awesome Foundation. They are $1,000 awarded monthly, so you can apply at any point. It's a pretty small application, kind of like a Google form. There isn't any reporting. They just say, tell them about your awesome project, and hopefully you will get an awesome grant. Every month, reapply, and you're kicked right back into that $1,000 category to where you're up for it every month if you just keep applying for it. All right, so this is not a grant as far as money, but this is Canva for nonprofits, and you get all the benefits of the Canva Pro for no dough. So if you've ever used Canva, you can do things like make presentations, you can make social media posts. I'm really selling it quite short, but it is an easy to use, fairly intuitive program that gives you design skills that otherwise you'd probably have to pay for. Canva can help polish if you're going to a board to ask for funds for a project. If you're pitching a project to your own board, they really have a lot of tools that can help. It also has tools to help you make the little TikTok videos. I'm not a TikTok person, but a lot of people are. So if you can get your message out in a 15-second clip, Canva has tools for you to film it in Canva, put graphics, to put words on top of it, whatever you need to do. And then it exports it in whatever format, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever format you need to post it on there. So Canva is a great tool. If you can show your 501c3, then you can get this Canva for nonprofits for no cost. I'll have a link on here to the Canva training webinar. Now that webinar is an Uplift webinar, just like this one. We put on Canva training, Wix training. We have lots of resources in our Knowledge Center, and I am going to show you a little bit more about that. Some of you know, some of you don't. This happens to be our Canva training webinar. So if you happen to get Canva, and it does have a free version, even if you don't get this nonprofit version, then you can go through the Canva training webinar and learn more about it, how you can use it, how it would be helpful for you, even if you're not quite one of those social media geniuses, which I am very far from. Okay, so again, brief overview, but I have on here my email if you wanted to communicate by email. I have my link, which is you click on that and it'll give you available times to chat. My times are generally in the afternoon, and I have some Saturday times. If none of that works for you and you really want to talk, that is okay. Just send me an email and say, I can't do it at 3:30 or 1 o'clock, 1:30 on weekdays. Can we do a Sunday afternoon? Can we do a weekday morning? Can we do a weekday evening? I can certainly be flexible for that. These are just my, if you will, office hours.